for his BSc chemistry, then went on to do his MSc chemistry, and Swami blessed him with an opportunity to do MBA there as well. And he graduated out of the portals in 2000 with a diploma in Indian culture and spirituality. And I was fortunate to share the hostel with Brother Arvind right from my class 11 in 1993. And I also graduated in 2000 along with Brother Arvind. I finished my MBA then. And Brother Arvind has been a real all-rounder. So any drama, be it the sports day drama or convocation drama, in all his years there, Arvind Bro will be there initially as an actor, then directing and also leading in various roles. And he has spoken in Bhagawan's presence many number of times. And he was also blessed by Bhagawan to contribute an entire chapter in Satyam Shivam Sundaram Volume 7. And this was titled A Drama Within a Drama. And after his graduation, Bhagawan blessed Arvind Bro to go to AMS Delhi along with 12 other students to be trained under Dr. P. Venugopal, after which he joined Swami's Super Specialty Hospital at Whitefield and served as the technical director there for 11 years. And he went on to various roles like senior technical officer, senior manager public relations, and senior manager orthopedics at Puttaparthi. He's also designed and managed the websites for the super specialty hospitals. After this, he moved on to Narayana Hridayalaya, Hyderabad as senior manager operations and worked as a research partner and consultant at NHSRC, Ministry of Health in Public Health Finance projects. He has also worked with the Reliance Foundation as a senior program manager and also assumed various roles. He has also worked as Director Quality Assurance for Government Healthcare Institutions. Currently, he is an independent consultant for healthcare IT operations and quality assurance projects. And I have known Brother Arvind as a superb trumpet player, and he was fortunate to learn from the maestro Maynard Ferguson himself. And he has been leading the trumpet section during his student days, after which he has also been contributing to the alumni brass band Rhythmic Energy. And if we have to describe Arvind Bro in 3 words, it's talent, wisdom, and simplicity. So it's an honor to have you here today, Bro Arvind. So we hand over the stage to you for your speech. Thank you. Jai Sai Ram.
Thank you, Jai Sai Ram. Vijay, that was a wonderful introduction, but yes, this is nothing compared to what several other brothers who might actually be part of this, and several other sisters also might be part of this wonderful satsang that we are having. I'd start off with something that really hit me after 9/11. It is something that I quote every time I give a talk or every time I share my thoughts with people. There was a PowerPoint presentation that circulated after 9/11 in which 3,000 people died in the 9/11 attack. It was a very, very sad incident. It was most painful. And of course, a lot of things happened. But a couple of weeks, maybe a month after that, a PowerPoint presentation started moving around in which there was an investigative journalist who went around finding out the people who survived the attack. And it was a very interesting observation that that journalist made. They found that a person, it was the opposite. I mean, there are different people who were not in the buildings, who were actually supposed to be in the 2 buildings, the Twin Towers, but were not there for various reasons. For instance, one of them was delayed because he had bought a new car and there was a flat tire. Another guy was delayed because his wife's car had a flat tire and he had to drop the kid off in kindergarten. There was yet another person who had purchased a pair of new shoes and the shoe bit, and he had to stop for a band-aid, to buy a band-aid, and so he got delayed. Yet another guy was stuck in a traffic jam. Yet another guy fell ill, and for various reasons, several reasons, all these people were not in the building. One of the very interesting things was it was the opportunity of one guy to go down and get donuts. Imagine coming down from maybe probably the 50th floor, going down, getting donuts, and going back to his office. Various reasons they were not in the Twin Towers when the attack happened, or rather when the Twin Towers crashed. Let's not call it an attack. There are so many theories associated with it. Now, why were they alive? For all these reasons, they were alive. But each and every person was cursing that particular circumstance. For instance, Think of it. I buy a brand new car. I want to go out to office in that, and whoa, I got a flat tire. So I'm hurt. I start cursing. I'm stuck in a traffic jam. I'm late for a meeting. I start cursing. I have to go to office. I'm a bit, everything happens. Stock block, whatever, Russia, Humpty Dumpty, all that language in America. I really don't know. I've never been to America, so I really don't know how the traffic is, but I definitely know the traffic is in Bangalore, and I'm sure it can't be worse than Bangalore. So you're stuck in traffic. You have to get to office on time, and your wife falls sick. You have to go to kindergarten. Your boss is going to get angry. All these feelings, everybody was cursing that circumstance, but it is because of that circumstance that they are alive today. Had that so-called bad thing not happened, had that instance had not happened, they would have been dead. They would all have been dead. So the PowerPoint presentation ended with a punchline. It said, "We are where we are because God wants us there." All right. So I paraphrase that and I say, "You are where you are because God wants you there." So I keep telling myself, Arvind, you are where you are because God wants you here. So jo hai, so hai. So thinking on those particular point in time, like Vijay brother was saying that, I spent so much time with Bhagawan. Bhagawan blessed me to be at his divine Lotus Feet from 1992 to around 2000. I was a student from 2000 to 2012 till Bhagawan chose to take this Mahasamadhi. I was working in the Whitefield Hospital, Patti Hospital, in different positions, different locations. The point is, everything happens for a reason. This whole conversation, this whole thought process, this whole conversation with God, I forgot to use the word with God, and this thought process of us moving towards God, everything happens at the right time for the right reason for a particular purpose. And what is that purpose? Bhagavan put it in one simple line: you are born so that you don't have to be born again. Well, that is very esoteric and very, of course, in India we say it's very high panda. But point is that not true? If you look at it, every action has got a reaction, and sometimes it's a chain reaction, cascade effects. The butterfly theory, as they say, or even a butterfly flaps its wings over here and a star somewhere is affected. Laws of gravitation, laws of physics. Newtonian mechanics was about cause and effect. Every action has got an equal and opposite reaction. But when you switch to quantum physics, it was much, much deeper. Newtonian mechanics is associated with the physical world. As Bhagavan would call it, he would call it Dvaita. There is a difference between me and him, me and you. Arvind is speaking, so many other brothers and sisters are listening. There's a difference. There are multiple points of contact or multiple entities that exist. That's at the physical level. When you go down to the quantum, everything is reduced to electrons, neutrons. Does electron have a quality? Yes, it has energy levels. As in one jump to various different series. The guys who know chemistry will know what I'm talking about, and those who don't also will generally have the general knowledge for that. Fundamentally, if you look at it, we are all the same. And we realize we are all the same, unfortunately, only when we are 6 feet under. Sorry for being so blunt, but that's a reality. That is why death is called as the great leveler. Why is it called as the great leveler? Because it's only as long as we are alive, we have these differences. But the moment we call it a day, or rather the body calls it a day, there are no differences. Bhagavan has been telling us that from day one. The whole setup, I personally feel the reason I'm getting personal here, brothers and sisters, is because at some point in time in our lives, we begin to realize that everything that has happened or is happening happened for the good. That's why we are where we are because God wants us there. Let us look back into our past, into the various instances that Bhagavan created in our lives. All right. There might be an instance where Bhagavan did not take a letter from our hand and we were waiting there to give this letter to Swami. Bhagavan did not take that letter. We're feeling really bad that Swami did not take that letter from our hand. But then we realized that there was a far greater plan which Bhagavan had in store. Let me share this instance about this letter. I have shared it in the past. I'll narrate it once again. It was the first interview that Bhagavan granted me and my mother. It was in the year 92, and it was the academic year 92, and Vijayadashmi Day. Vijayadashmi Day morning, Bhagavan granted me, my mom, and a bunch of others an interview. And we were all sitting there. Swami calls us in. We have a lovely general interview where Swami blesses everybody in general and then calls us inside. And there was a nice, lovely personal conversation. And after everything is done and we are all in bliss, Swami blesses us with that wonderful Vibhuti Prasadam that we get from him. Personally, Swami takes that basket of Vibhuti and personally distributes Vibhuti to everybody in that. And then we were out. And of course, I was sort of trained by my senior brothers. I don't want to take their names without their permission, but a lot of senior brothers guided me. Arvind, this is the protocol. I said, this is what we're supposed to do. Uh, when Bhagwan grants you an interview, you're supposed to write a thank you letter. Well, that is ingrained. See, when you get a gift from God, you obviously say thank you, but the formality was you write a letter to Swami, you give it to Swami, Swami will feel good. अरे जो अंतर्यामी है, he understands everything, but still, Swami will feel good, write the letter. So like a very good boy, I wrote a letter and then kept it in my pocket. And of course, since you're in form within inverted commas, you get a chance to sit in the first row. The warden gave me permission, and everybody, to be honest, well, there is one thing most of us would have observed when on a festive occasion or on an occasion and Bhagavan is going out to give a discourse, when a discourse is anticipated from him, he usually doesn't take any letters from anyone. He's like in that divine aloofness mode with the force field around him, and you really feel whom you're looking at. You really understand whom you're looking at. He's no longer the sweet Swami who talks to you and asks you what breakfast did you have, was it idli, and goes to the primary school child and talks about how many spoons of chutney did you have and all that. That is, yes, that is our Swami. But one day of a discourse, you're dealing with God, that Bhagwan, that presence, right? Okay. So let's do one thing. I just received feedback that the voice is not good, so I'll switch to direct. I'll switch off the Bluetooth. Now, can you guys hear me clearly, Sairam? I'm removing the Bluetooth. All right.
Yeah,
so
we can hear you, brother.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I had charged this in the morning that probably this thing is not working. Anyway, discard it. Technology can sometimes be an Achilles heel. So coming back to Bhagwan, on that day, Bhagwan came, he gave his darshan, and of course, the standard during 92, we were still fortunate. Bhagwan was staying in the mandir. So Bhagwan came out of the interview room, he took one round, went around the ladies' side, came towards the Jain side. I was sitting usually where, the Ganesh portico, middle portico, where usually all the birthday boys with trays and everybody sit. I offered the letter to Bhagwan. Bhagwan didn't take it. But it was my duty to write the letter and offer the letter to Bhagwan. I wrote that letter. I offered it to him. He said no. Just blessed you, a smiley. It's not any curt no, just a smile. Keep it. Put it back in my pocket. Wonderful discourse, wonderful experience, everything done. Go back to the hostel. Next morning again, we come for darshan. And I am sitting in a very convenient position. Now I'm not in the first row. Fine. The best part of the masala is over. You've had your interview, you had your chance. I'll let somebody else get a chance. So I was sitting in the early days, there used to be the lotus circle in the mandir, right? In Prashant Nila Mandir, you had Bhagwan's mandir, and in front of the mandir, there was this lotus circle. And that between the lotus circle and the boys, there used to be a very narrow path. Well, that particular point was a, should I say, high preferred point, and the second one would be bang in the front row. Fortunately for me, I was in the second row near the lotus circle. I held the letter and I offered it to Bhagwan. And then, I was praying to Bhagwan. Bhagwan stretches his hand and says, give me the letter. Letter. I put my hand immediately to my pocket. Oops, I had changed my shirt and the letter was in the other shirt and that shirt was in the hostel. I just held Swami's hand and said, sorry, Swami. And Swami gave one look. That kind of expression. Millisecond. And then he walks away. The remorse that hits, God, Swami gave me a chance. Swami asked for that letter. I did not have the letter to give it to him. I've embarrassed Bhagwan. I don't know what I've done. I wonder what Swami's feeling about me. All that cascade, that huge turbulence inside you. And then darshan ends. Bhagwan goes into the interview. Scramble. During those days, we used to first rush into the bhajan hall. put a place. Morning darshans, Swami would definitely come into the bhajan hall. I mean, it was like taken for granted. With Bhagawan, nothing is taken for granted, but still, during those days, after the morning interview was over, Swami would come into the bhajan hall. The door would be closed. Somebody would hold the fan, and Swami would talk to the boys inside, and then wait for everybody to exit. And again, Bhagawan would go. It was an opportunity that he would grant. So we had a place inside the bhajan hall, and then we would go and sit outside. So I had done the same thing that day. There was a place inside the bhajan hall, and I was sitting outside. I went back into the bhajan hall, sat down, took out a piece of paper. Of course, we always used to carry our books to Mandir, prayed to Bhagwan, and started writing. Most beloved Bhagwan, I'm truly sorry. You had asked for the letter. I did not write that letter. I did not give you that letter. The letter was, I forgot it in the hostel. Typical, like how you write to Bhagwan, uh, when a mind that is still in the process of evolving, when you treat Bhagwan as a member of your family, what kind of language are you going to use? Simple, straightforward, uncomplicated, no adulations, but yes, straight from your heart. I wrote that letter, kept it ready in my hand, praying to Bhagavan that Swami, if you come, if you come into Bhajana, please give me a chance to give you this letter. Swami did come. Interview got over. Swami came inside. We had a small session, and of course, the Bhajan group, which is bank in front, right there, is usually privileged to have the opportunity. And after that, Bhagwan left. Bhajans, just before bhajan started, Bhagwan usually during those days, Swami would come very lovingly. I tell you, really, 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 the love of God, my God. I mean, literally thinking about Bhagwan and his munificence, all my hairs are on end. Swami was so loving. He made himself available to us at every level. He was a father, a mother, a teacher, and everything. There are so many other instances that one can share. But on this particular instance, pin drop silence in the Bhajan hall, morning darshan. So there is no flute. Evening session, there is the flute. Morning session, pin drop silence. Swami comes in. He comes all the way. And he just is standing right next to me. And I offer that letter to Bhagawan. Wow. Bhagawan looks at me. He puts both his hands behind his back and says, give me the Swami, thank you, letter. The typical way in which Swami puts both his hands behind his back and starts rocking forward and backward gently like that. He says, most beloved Lord, you asked for the letter, but I did not have that letter. I forgot that letter in the house. Literally everything that I had written in that letter, word for word, line by line, it was just around 8 or 10 lines. Swami read out that letter in that pin drop silence in the bhajan. Well, I don't know what everybody's reaction would be, but I was like, literally, I just broke down. There were tears in my eyes. I was literally, he again proved his omniscience and omnipotence, that he's my Hridayavasi, he's there in my heart all the time, and he knows everything. Swami reinforced it. He looked into my eyes. I was kneeling, and we all know how sweetly Bhagwan, just 5 foot range. We kneel up, we look at him. The distance is just around 6 to 8 inches. We are close. The bhajan hall carpet is very narrow, so when Swami stands there and is towards the gent side, we are almost touching Bhagwan. You can breathe in his wonderful fragrance, and then Bhagwan is looking down and he says, I see, I hear, I know everything. This was the punchline. My God. And before that, Swami had said one beautiful statement. Even before you write, I know what is in your heart. And when you are writing, I am seeing over your shoulder. After that, he said, I see, I hear, I know everything. And of course, for my satisfaction, he took that letter. One small pat on the cheek, realization for life. Everything that happens does not happen without his knowledge. It happens with his knowledge. He sees, he knows, he hears everything. He hears our prayers. He sees our actions. He knows our thoughts. And that's why Swami keeps on saying, try to understand, try to experience me. I am there everywhere all the time, in you, with you, around you. Intane, gentane, ventane, and kantane. If I'm not wrong, guys, please correct me after the thing is over. But he's always there with us. But it is we who get caught up in the world. I do not know. For me, this entire COVID scenario, sitting at home, working from home, it is a wonderful experience for us to slow down, introspect. Of course, solitude has been a good companion for me all these years, and that is one reason why I feel very comfortable. I'm not very disturbed by working from home. But this is a wonderful opportunity for us to seriously think about where we are, what we are doing, where we are going. It has given us a wonderful opportunity for the entire world, not just us, for the entire world to differentiate between what is a need and a want, what is a desire and what is a obsession. Do we really need to keep up with the Joneses? Do we really need to have fancy cars? Do we really need to have, a Savile Row or Saks Fifth Avenue or whatever kind, Marks and Spencer shirts, Clark shoes? Do we really need all that? End of the day, get the job done. As Bhagawan always used to say, Pani ainda, as the job got done. Wonderful experiences most of us would have had when we were with Bhagawan, either during sports meet or during Prasadam distributions or during Shivratri. There are so many senior brothers here who had far better, closer interactions with Bhagavan than I did. Bhagawan brought me to himself only in 1992. And that was when already that distance had already begun. Like he was neither too close nor too far. There are brothers here, there are senior brothers who've had chances of being with Bhagavan from the time of Vrindavan, right from the time when Gokulam and old Vrindavan, old Trai, my God, those fantabulous experiences that people would have had with the Lord. Everything that we have spent, all the time that we have spent with the Lord is only for us to understand that He's always there in us, with us, guiding us. I have one experience. I just wanted to share this because there are several of us who have been witness to really a lot of miracles, and right now a lot of miracles may be happening in their houses as well. But at that point in time, in the year 92, uh, I was totally a greenhorn, totally a novice, and Bhagwan had taken the position of my father. He was literally like a dad. I could discuss everything with him, every thought, every thought that would go through the mind of a juvenile. I would say, because sometimes the mind goes really crazy. So you are a juvenile mind, and sometimes when the mind is confused, it's an adolescent mind, and sometimes when the mind really gets focused, it is an inquisitive, inquiring mind. So I had all those phases. Most of us went through all those phases. We could ask all questions to Bhagavan, and Bhagavan always gave those opportunities. So after a particular winter vacation, which was a very eventful winter vacation, and it's a long story. I'll tell you at some other point in time, probably, or maybe later on now. I'm just going with the flow. Whatever Bhagwan is putting into my thoughts, I'm just sharing with you. Or rather, he's speaking and I'm just here. I'm just talking. I asked after this, during this winter vacation, I had gone to a particular lady's house. In fact, there was a doctor who was helping me, my mom here in homeopathy, and we are great believers in homeopathy for whatever be the reason. And opposite to the doctor's house, there was one lady, a great devotee of Bhagwan. Beautiful photo, beautiful altar, wonderful, an entire room dedicated to Bhagwan. And awesome thing was that she's a very simple middle class lady. The house was a very small house, not fancy and nothing fancy, but one room for Swami. Actually, the roof was an asbestos roof, so you can understand how simple that house was and how simple those people were. There was vibhuti everywhere. There was chandan everywhere. There was kumkum everywhere. You could look up, and from that photo, you could see, you know, honey, nectar. I would say ambrosia, just coming down from Bhagwan's photograph. And then you write a letter, you keep it there, you come back. Everybody leaves the room. You come back. Oof, there's vibhuti on that, or there's a Swami's own handwriting. There are answers given. The other lady is still there, but Bhagwan deliberately, he makes everything low profile. After seeing that house, after meeting that lady, came back to Pati. And then, the thought comes into the monkey mind. I was sitting in an interview. Those prasadam distribution sessions? We would all be sitting in the first row waiting for Bhagwan, and then Bhagwan signals, we all run, and then we pick up those Bhavanis. We go out, we finish all the distribution, and then strategically go hide inside the interview room, and then wait for Bhagwan there. And then Bhagwan comes and, hey, what are you doing here? And all that, that entire drama. It was one of those wonderful evenings, and Prasadam distribution was over. And then we came inside, all the Bhavanis went off inside. and Dilip brother and everybody that deep inside, that's a different thing. We were all waiting in the interview room, standing silently. And then Bhagwan comes in, he opens the door. Hey, ఏం చేస్తున్నారు ఇక్కడ? Because he knows, we know. We drop down to our knees, and then Swami makes his way. He goes, he switches on that fan, and then he makes his way to his chair. And then, literally guys move like greased lightning over there. The moment Bhagwan settles down in his chair, it's attack. Everybody is there. There are three guys, one guy on Swami's left, one guy on Swami's right. The third guy, the footstool disappears, the foot cushion, it just disappears, shoved inside. Guys just slipped inside Swami's feet and his lap. Everything just happens. It's like you don't need any training for that. It just happens. Tuck, 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 tuck. Swami is there and surrounded by the boys, and I am lucky one to be near Swami's right. Then Swami is wonderfully talking to all of us. He was talking about Kasturi Garu at that time. And he was also talking about the various miracles that happened. And then Swami looks at me and I'm like, typically, Swami, may I say something kind of thing? Amy. No, down here. Amy. Swami Chinna Manavis. Chapu. Swami, అందరి ఇళ్లలో విభూతి కుంకుమ చందనం చూసినాను స్వామి ఈసారి హైదరాబాద్ పోయినప్పుడు ఐ సా విభూతి చందన్ అండ్ కుంకుమ ఇన్ ఎవ్రీబడీస్ హౌస్ when I went to Hyderabad this time. మంచిది. And I said, Swami, మన ఇంట్లో కూడా వస్తే బాగుంటుంది కదా స్వామి. I mean, imagine the audacity to ask Bhagavan saying, Swami, it would be nice if it happened in our house also, right? Literally, like, Swami, the head of the family, so our house, apne ghar mein bhi thoda vibhuti kumkum ho to acha rahega, Swami. Swami, really, guys in that room are like, what's he saying kind of thing? There were seniors, there were juniors, there were everybody. Full small-cast board was inside. And Swami looks at me and smiles and says, అవర్ని అందరినీ అట్రాక్ట్ చేయటానికి రా, ఆల్ దోస్ ఆర్ టు అట్రాక్ట్ పీపుల్. నువ్వు అప్పుడే ఇంట్లో ఉన్నావు, నీకెందుకు? యూర్ ఆల్రెడీ ఇన్ ద హౌస్, వై డు యూ నీడ్ ఇట్? బ్రదర్స్, సిస్టర్స్, ఐ టెల్ యూ, దిస్ ఇస్ సంథింగ్ దట్ ఐ ఆల్వేస్ టెల్ మై సెల్ఫ్. Therefore, you don't need to be convinced. You don't need a reinforcement to tell you that he's good. He has his own ways of communicating this message. He has his own way of telling you that you are wanted. The personal God concept, he has made himself available to us at our levels, and that is not something to be taken lightly. సులువుగా దొరికిన సుందర సాయిని చులకన చేయక చూపుగా. Do not take the Lord that you have received so easily for granted. Many of us have done it in our past. We may have done it in the past, and we are regretting. We must be having regrets. If there are people without regrets, please tell me. I'll go and touch their feet. Because if there is anyone who has been able to make use of every single moment of the divine presence, I tell you, they are real saints, and they are the people who really know how to really make use of the opportunity that God has blessed them with. You are already in the house. Why do you need all these? That was such a satisfying thing for me at that point in time, because I was searching for roots. I was searching for foundation. I was searching for something that would really set me going on the right path. I was searching for conviction. I was searching for vindication. And I got all the answers in one sentence. You're already in the house. Why do you need all this? People go by miracles. People say, I need a miracle. God, show me a miracle. What is the big deal? We are the miracle. The fact that we are alive, the fact that we are breathing, the fact that we are able to be of use to others, the fact that we are able to help others, that itself is a miracle. I'm sure all of us would have seen the movie Bruce Almighty. Okay, despite all the harem scarum and all the comedy that Jim Carrey is famous for, what does God tell him at the end? Be the miracle. What are you looking for as a miracle? Don't we understand? I had one of my senior brothers who used to teach physics. He's still continuing to teach physics, but he's no longer with our university. Awesome guy, really awesome guy. He gave a beautiful example. In fact, I'm stealing his idea, stealing his concept and sharing it with us. It was a private conversation that he had. God versus us. God is a sine wave, beautiful sine wave, fixed amplitude, fixed frequency, fixed vibration, fixed wavelength, what are the different parameters are, physics parameters. It just goes up and down, crest, 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 crest. We, on the other hand, have variable amplitude, variable frequency, variable wavelength. So we go all over the place, literally like a heart that is in fibrillation. We go all over the place. At that magic moment when our wave overlaps God's sine wave, life is a miracle. Because at that moment, what we thought, what we felt, what we wanted, what we needed, everything happened. And at that point, his plan and our, I don't know, I don't want to call it plan, our prayer or desire or need or want coincided. At that point, when that wave and this wave come together, that moment becomes a miracle. The whole sadhana of life, the whole sadhana which we do maybe thousands of years, millions of years, I don't know, Jantunam Narajana Durlabham, as it is said in the Viveka Chudamani, there's a whole stanza that I don't want to get into that. The whole purpose of life is to superimpose our wave on his wave. To superimpose our wave, which has got multiple amplitudes, multiple variables, blah, 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 whatever be the variables, bring it down and superimpose it on Bhagwan's wave. At that point in time, at that once, I won't say point in time, at that, once we reach that state, every moment becomes a miracle. Wouldn't you agree? The whole purpose of life, the whole purpose of sadhana is to be able to reach that level where we see everything as a miracle. And what is a miracle? By human definition, what is a miracle? Something that happens that you don't really anticipate, but you're praying for, something that's earth shaking. I don't want to go into Webster, Oxford, Cambridge, and all those guys do the definitions of miracles. Something that reinforces your faith in yourself, your faith in the super consciousness. That is what we define as a miracle. Okay? I'm just paraphrasing. Is it not that when we are able to see the invisible divine hand of the Lord in everything that we do, does that not make life a miracle? It does. True. It's wonderful when I say it and you hear it, we all nod our heads sagely. And then we think, yeah, Arvind is saying all this. Yeah, but I really wonder if he's practicing it. I'm sure he must be having a temper. I'm sure he must have gone through a lot of things. And he must also be telling all this because right now he's been given a chance to talk and Swami must be working through him and sharing this message. Because, oh, yeah, yes, I too have my bumps and jumps in life. That's what makes us human. If we don't have bumps and jumps, we are all yogis, munis, sadhakas, and we don't need to be. I mean, you guys don't need to be all over the world, and I don't need to be sitting in Hyderabad in my house in this sweltering heat. Right? We are where we are because God wants us there. And from there, where we are, we go where we are supposed to go again because He wants us in that new location. But we can move only when we agree to move, right? That is where Bhagavan says, I am willing to give you everything that you need. I'm not going to give you everything that you want because if I start giving everything that you want, you will fundamentally forget what you need. That's what I mean to say. What COVID is now teaching us, the difference between a need and a want in marketing terms, need and a want. And in spiritual terms, desire versus obsession. Swami always says desire is good. Desire is the root cause of all evil. But yes, if it is directed towards the world, if desire is directed towards God, moha kshayam, destruction of moha, is moksha. Now, how do you move to that? It's very nice. I mean, philosophy, spirituality, discussing all these fancy terms is all very nice. But let's get down to realities. We are all working in the world, right? We're all working in the world. We have families, we have responsibilities, we have professional responsibilities, filial responsibilities. Plus, we have a responsibility towards ourselves and towards our master on top. That's why Swami says, the more the number of variables do you add, the more complicated your life becomes. It's typical operations research example that I keep sharing even when I discuss about quality assurance with my juniors. I mean, when I worked with the government of Andhra Pradesh, we were working on a setting up NABH, a National Accreditation Board for Hospitals and Healthcare Providers. It's supposed to be uh, the JCI, the one that is across the entire world, quality assurance in healthcare institutions. We have that in India under QCI, Quality Council of India, and under that we have NABH, which is the accreditation for tertiary care institutions, large hospitals.
For smaller hospitals, we have NQAS, that's National Quality Assurance Standard, which is for smaller institutions. I was handling NABH for 15 teaching hospitals, government teaching hospitals across Andhra Pradesh. Now we all know how government works. It's a behemoth. They are lethargic. They are ingrained with the lethargy. They don't want to work. They want everything to be gifted to them. Getting such people online, convincing them to move, well, it was purely Bhagawan. I did not do it on my own. It was Bhagawan working through and through at so many different levels. But yet, we had duties to fulfill, and I was working. As part of that quality assurance, what did I tell them? Every single thing that you do, remember, the more you repeat, you reduce the number of ambiguities. The more you repeat the thing that you regularly do and not keep moving left, right, and out of center, it becomes a habit. Correct? If you repeat the same activity in Indian philosophy, in Sanatan Dharma, it is said you do the same activity for 41 days. It's called as a mandala. That activity will become a habit. So if you're serious that you want to get up at 4 in the morning and you want to focus on Bhagwan, you want to do your dhyanam from 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. After which, after you stabilize your mind and everything, you want to get into activities which are more worldly, fine, you need to do that for 41 days. If you're able to achieve that target, yes, it will come naturally to you. And there is science behind it. We can discuss that offline or on some other occasion because the whole thing is very, very scientific. So coming back to quality assurance and coming back to this operations research equation, the more number of variables that you have, the greater the number of outcomes, right? So the greater the number of outcomes, the greater the number of chances that you have you're going beyond the range that you can handle. It's very simple. It's very mathematical. Reduce the number of variables, remove the number of variables, make them all constants. Then you have a predictable number of results out of which there will be a optimum result for a given set of circumstances. That's what operations research is. Linear programming, LP as we call it. Then we move on to assignment and various models which are handling logistics, and of course you have so many other theories. Fundamentally, if you apply that to our own lives, why does Bhagavan say we need to have discipline? Why does Bhagavan say that discipline unnavade devotee? Only with discipline you can become a devotee. Even in English it is said manners maketh a man. Why do you need to have manners? Swami also said manners unnavade manishi, discipline unnavade devotee. The one with manners is a man, the one with discipline is a devotee. Why? The moment you start reducing the number, or we start reducing the number of variables in our life and convert them into constants, the easier it is for us to reduce our energies on the extraneous things and focus on the core activities. The other day, I was talking to another group of young people, and it's from an institution, and they invited, say they wanted to learn something about time and life management. I said, look, both are the same. Time defines life, and you live life the way you optimize your time correctly, and then life is fruitful. Yes, sir, very nice, sir, but can we have a nice conversation on that? So, my guru, when it comes to time management, one is Bhagavan Sri Satsangh Baba. He taught us the discipline of how to manage a student life, and he also said you extrapolate it into your professional life. The book Man Management, and of course, innumerable number of discourses which Bhagavan gave, plus those interactions which we have in our those interview room sessions, those post prasadam distribution interviews, private interviews, drama interviews, uh, different times when Bhagavan keeps throwing this gyan at us. We just need to keep absorbing it. Fortunately, I think it was 94 or 95, if I'm not wrong, people started documenting all these sessions that we started having on the portico. Correct me if I'm wrong, brothers, because I'm not very clear about those numbers, but uh, thus spake Sai was the thing, and it used to come on the common notice board, and guys could read. I mean, Swami would be able to speak, and he was physically audible only to a limited number of people. So that what Swami is saying reaches everybody. Thus spake Sai, when guys used to share, when the boys who were blessed to have the Sambhashan with Bhagavan would share it, and we would have it on the notice board. Thus spake Sai really took off. So that is the way we were able to document Bhagavan's conversations. Going back to this, reduction in the number of variables, reducing the amount of complications in our lives, going back to that equation which gives us the best optimal performance in our life. Why is it that we lose track? Why is it that our sine wave does not overlap on Bhagwan's sine wave? We are made differently. We are what we are because God wanted us the way we are. Because we are born with certain set of vasanas, we are born with a certain set of prarabdham. Not everyone began our journey with Bhagavan simultaneously. There are brothers in this group probably who've been there with Bhagavan right from the Uti school onwards. There may be brothers who have just passed out a couple of years ago, who have not had any physical interaction with Bhagavan. There may have been brothers who joined just 2 years before Bhagavan left, 2011, 2012, 2010. There may be people from 1970 or 1950. I do not know how many senior brothers and sisters are over here. But all of us came to God at that time when He wanted us to come to Him. Right? We feel, Arey Swami, why did you not bring me to you earlier? Why did I waste so much of time, Swami? I lost so much. In fact, I literally asked Bhagavan this. At one point in time, Swami was so beautifully talking about all the great devotees, all the wonderful devotees. It was literally burning in his. I lost so much of time. I opened up, Swami, I want to Chinna Manavi Swami. In fact, I interrupted. Swami just, during those days, it's like capital punishment. You got thrown out if you interrupt when he's speaking. But with the interview room, Swami was sitting on the chair. I was just two guys away. Unfortunately, that day I did not have the chance of sitting at Bhagwan's feet. I was the next row. Behind me were all the elders, like Vice Chancellor Sir, Registrar Sir, Warden Sir, Controller Sir was there, and Vrindavan Warden also was there at that time. See, a lot of elders were sitting, so many other brothers were sitting, and then I looked at Bhagavan, and then I asked Swami, he was talking about avatars, about Rama Avatara, Krishna Avatara, and the love the Gopikas had for Krishna, and then the devotion that the Vanaras had for Rama. And both were unquestioned. Both of them were unquestioned. They did not question the Lord. The Lord said, do this, they did it. Krishna said, do this, they did it. It was like that. Then I just couldn't hold myself back. I said, Swami, please, I have a small request. Yeah. Why did you not give us Smriti? I mean, for instance, there was a pause, that electric pause inside the interview room. Swami looked at me and said, me? I said, Swami, why did you not give us Smriti? Smriti is knowledge of the previous births, because Bhagavan was talking about Ramavatara and he was talking about Janaka at that time. So Janaka knew his past 100 births and he was able to manage the show, and he wanted to know more than 100 births. That is when his guru said, no, don't go beyond that. Beta. See, you have been given 100 births knowledge that has made you a Raja Yogi. Don't go beyond that. Maybe it is not meant for you. So, no, I want to know. I want to know. Then the Guru says, the Guru is Trikalagyani, he is a Kavi, he knows past, present, and future. The Guru says, look, in your 101st previous birth, Rani Sunayana, who is your wife now, was actually your mother. Either mother or sister, I don't recall correctly. But she was not your wife. Oh my God. Immediately Janaka's attitude towards Sunayana, Rani Sunayana in this birth changes. He no longer treats her as his wife. He no longer looks at her with the carnal thought or whatever. Being a man, though he's a Raja Yogi, let's not worry, get into all those details. But the point that I wanted to ask Bhagavan was, Swami, if you had, then some next question. Yenduku Smriti. I said, Swami, దయచేసి స్మృతి ఉంటే బాగుండేది కదా స్వామి. Second time, same question. And Swami says, ఈ జన్మకున్న ఆలోచనలే నీకు చాలు, నీకు స్మృతి ఎందుకు? You, in the thoughts that you're having in this birth alone are enough. Why do you need Smriti? Why do you need past birth? I said, no, Swami. I was relentless. Swami, Swami. Why? Swami asked. It was wonderful. The way Bhagavan was so lovely. Just thinking of that really makes me have a lump in my throat. How loving, how sweet, how personal Bhagavan can be with each and every one of us, answering our questions to the depths of our heart. Wonderful. Swami said, Induku. Why? I said, Swami, if I knew where I was in my previous birth, you say that we were all rishis, yogis, jnanis at wonderful levels of sadhana. Swami kept nodding, yes. If we knew what we were in our previous birth, Swami, would we not have started off from there, Swami? I have lost 15 years in the world outside, Swami. I came to you only for my undergraduation. I have been in the field. All that negativity is there in me, Swami. All that I have to clean, I have to wash, I have to unlearn. And only then I will be able to feel Swami. I started philosophizing in Bhagavan's presence. Oh, Sai Baba. That was like crazy. I said, Swami, Now my heart is full, Swami. Now I have to make it empty, Swami, to receive. He was so magnanimous, bacha bakra hai, bakne do kind of expression. Oh, loving, sweetly. He listened to it, Swami. Tell me, Swami. I will take a chinna katha, Swami says. Wow. So, everybody's attention. Swami says there was a stone cutter in a particular village, and this guy's wife wanted to do Aditya Puja. She wanted to worship Lord Surya. So when she wanted to start the vratam, while making the preparation, she came out and she looked out of her main door towards the east. There was a huge rock over there which was obstructing the view of the sun. And according to the vratam, she was supposed to have the first light, so early morning dawn. She's supposed to have this darshan. So she asked her husband, who's a stone cutter, and she requests him, "Boss, the stone is coming in the way. Why don't you do something about it?" Swami has his own ways of narrating, and I have mine. I'm sorry, I can't imitate Bhagawan. I don't even want to get into that in a class of his own. So she asks her husband, "Please break this stone." And then the gentleman he starts breaking that stone. For 20 days, he starts hammering that stone and breaking that stone, struggling really hard. On the 21st day, his son comes from the town. His son was working in the town. And comes in, "Dad, what are you doing?" He says, "Your mother wanted to worship Lord Surya, and the stone was coming in the way, so I'm trying to break it." The son says, "Dad, you take a break, I'll take care." So this guy starts hammering, part, and the stone breaks. And then there is a pause, the dramatic pause that Swami gives. Everybody's waiting. What is Swami going to say? Swami looks at all of us, that typical look. Each and everyone's eye in the interview room. All of us are looking at Swami, and Swami says, "Rai enduku virigindi?" Why did the stone break? The answer is evident. Swami then again reiterates, why did the stone break? Did it break because of the 21st blow, 21st day when the sun came and hammered? Or did it break for the 20 plus 1 days for which it went through that process of being broken? Yes, Swami, 20 plus 1, Swami. The Swami looks into my eyes and says, Idi kuda ante. This is also the same. Then he leans back in his chair, relaxes, and then he starts explaining. He says, look, it is only when you go through darkness that you know the value of light. It is only when you drink salt water that you will know the value of ambrosia. It is only when you go through the world that you will know the value of the Lord. And he points it himself. I mean, there were several other brothers, probably if they are there in this group and who were there with me in that interview at that time, they will testify to this. God, he points at himself. What a statement. That means those 15 years, the time that we were in the world outside before he called himself to his Lotus Feet, was a kind of preparatory ground for us to understand, okay, what are you going to get once you come to me? I am going to give you what you need. I'm not going to give you what you want. But first, to receive what I want to give you, your mind should understand the value. Swami, I used to give an example also when of course, it was a casual example which he gave in private. It is not in any discourse. It is not there anywhere. There was Swami was explaining to a VIP actually. Let me not digress. In the same vein, I'm continuing in the same vein. We are where we are because God wants us there. That is the premise on which everything is going on. Correct? Right now, this episode that Bhagawan narrated right now through me is what saying that you come to my lotus feet or I bring you to my lotus feet when I feel the right time is for you to come there so that you have that degree of maturity to understand or your mind is ready to receive what I want to give. Because if your mind is not ready to receive what I want to give you, it will just be like pouring water over a stone and the water just gets washed. Stone takes a lot of time to get a hole in it. So keep pouring water on it gets washed. The same example he gives. If the cup is upturned, rain water will fall in it. If it is down, all the water gets washed away. So Swami was trying to explain that smriti is not important for you. Bhakti is important for you. Devotion is important for you. Of course, he continued in a different direction after that. So why are we talking about all this? We are where we are because God wants us there. Physically, He's not with us right now. He's not with us right now, but is he not there with us right now? If everything is happening because of his will, why are we having COVID? I keep hearing this a lot. Many people keep asking, if Bhagavan, if God is really there, why is he not? Why does this COVID come? Why is he not saving people? Why are people dying? Excuse me. Is God responsible for birth and death? It's all preordained, right? It's all planned. Everything is planned. We know we are going to go. It's just that we don't know how we are going to. That's what I tweeted this morning. And somebody was tickling me. I just tweeted that guy. I said, look, we all know death is the only certainty in life. Birth was just an incident. All of us know it's a hit or miss affair. Those of us are part of biology will know that birth is a hit or miss affair, biologically speaking. But then with Bhagavan, there is no hit or miss. Everything is pre-planned. And the best part of it is he's not going to get into the nitty-gritties of what we are going to do in our life to get back to him. He has already taught us. He has already given us the Gyan. He has already told us everything what we need to do. Are we ready for it? That's the question that we have to keep asking ourselves. Right now, everything that is happening for our good. Are we willing to learn from it? There was something very bad that happened in the past, and I don't want to get into that particular instance. But after that, Bhagavan gave a discourse, and then Bhagavan sweetly explained. He was very categorical in that. Unfortunately, that reference to context, I'm not able to get that exact discourse. Maybe in the research I'll get it. Bhagavan said, Yedi jarigina me manchike. Anything that happens for the good, happens for your good, not the good. Me manchike, for your good. He was emphasizing that. And then Swami says, Manchi jarigina me manchike. If good happens, it is for your good. Chedu jarigina me manchike. Even if bad happens, it is for your good. And then the punchline. Rendu Bhagavantuni anugrahame. Both are God's grace. I'll give you a right example right now, what happened with me. I'm sharing it with you because it's reality. Right now, I'm having a ligament tear. It's on my right leg. I was working in an organization. I was working as a consultant for them, helping them with we have certain public health programs in India. Some of those public health programs are analog. We have an application that converts the entire process into a digital application with an app and a web interface, and it's got a dashboard on the chief minister's. It's on the chief minister's dashboard. So all the data that we do in the field, all the data collection, the screenings, everything is collated through an application, through an app, through a mobile app, Android, iOS app, from which it reflects into our database, and we have something reflecting on the dashboard as the way they want it to be reflected. So this is what I was working with them. I was helping them, and where I stay and where the offices are 23 kilometers apart. So it was like every day a 46-kilometer journey through Hyderabad traffic. And sometimes it can get really, really insane. So planning this, had taken an apartment close to the office, and of course, there was no point because I was staying in the office 14 hours a day. I was using that apartment only to crash. Why I'm telling you the long story is because how Bhagavan makes things happen, how he puts the thoughts into our head. First, you are a consultant. Then you are doing some job. Then you are doing some major work because it is public health and you're influencing thousands and thousands of lives. So if you do your job correctly, 1,000 lives will be influenced positively. You screw up, you will destroy 1,000 lives. Things can get really messy because it's an healthcare policy decision. So when you're making policy decisions, if you give the wrong advice to the people at the top, I was working with the principal secretary health. If we give the wrong advice, if we go in the wrong direction, thousands of crores will go in the wrong direction, and so many other. The ramifications are huge. So everything has to be done very carefully, but everything has to be done fast. So coming back to this, the distance between the office and home was too far, so I had taken an apartment close to the office. Things were not working out. Paying a lot of money to the apartment, government not reimbursing us at the right point in time, so I decided to come home. And while I was coming home, the night I was shifting out from that apartment back to this house where I'm staying right now. This is my mother's house, by the way. So we're coming back here. I was driving back on a two-wheeler because I don't believe in a car. I'm still single, so I prefer to have only a two-wheeler. Car becomes a liability. I either use public transport or a two-wheeler. Generally, I do not travel long distance on a two-wheeler. That in Hyderabad, it can be really crazy. Despite of all protections, you wear a jacket, you wear a helmet, you wear boots, you wear everything. Things can go wrong, and that night things did go wrong. I was driving home, an Innova came from, and a big Toyota came on my left, almost bumped me. I slowed down immediately, but before I could put my foot down and stabilize the vehicle, my right foot went and hit the divider and twisted totally outward, close to 90 degrees outward. I had ripped two of the ligaments in my right ankle. Two. Somehow I drove home with the same foot, went home, tied a cream bandage on that, went, got an x-ray done, tried to handle the pain for 2 days, didn't work, met an orthopedician, clearly said it's a grade 2 ligament tear and you have torn two ligaments, not one, it's a tear, it is not a stretch. So plaster of Paris, bed rest 2 months. 3 weeks minimum. After that, you will have another 3 weeks without POP and this, and then after that, you can start this work. The whole sequence, whole 9 yards. When did this happen? 28th of January. When did Corona come into the market, so to speak? 24th of January. When was it declared as a pandemic? 8th or 11th of February? No, towards the end, in March probably it was declared as a pandemic. But for the duration, the whole of February, I was flat on my back in my house doing with the leg in my POP on my foot. It was pretty bad. I mean, it was pretty bad. Like I'm already not, should I say, proportionate. I'm pretty heavy, and the legs swelled up really bad. Pain was really bad. What was I doing? Cursing. The same. We are where we are because God wants us there. See the way the mind was working. What am I doing in the house? I should have been there. So much work is happening. I want to work from home. The office refused to allow me to work from home. At the end of February, the office said we no longer need your services. So I happily said thank you very much. Quit that office and went back to being a consultant. I was actually working out much better. I shifted my project. Now I'm just a consultant for various projects. Point I'm trying to make is because of that ligament, I was flat on my back. So work from home. After that, for the next 3 weeks, I was still at home. And even now, the lockdown has started and I'm still at home. So that ligament tear, which actually happened, the accident that happened to me that day has actually forced me to be at home. Is it not a blessing in disguise? A very painful ligament tear is chadu, is bad by our definition. It has immobilized. Right now, I'm only at around 60% mobility. I can't walk fast. I don't have that freedom, the heel to toe speed of walking. We've not been able to get it. It's still there. The pain is still there. But if I look at it as a complaint, it continues to be a complaint. If I look at it as a blessing, it is a blessing. Do we not agree? Where are we? Right. So I've been sharing what I feel about our position in our life, the way Bhagawan wants it. You are where you are because God wants you there through all these instances. Swami has touched me, Swami has taught me in different ways. And I learn from other people's experiences as well. Because if you don't learn from other people's experiences, you will never evolve in life. Let us be clear. Neither God nor eternity has the time to make you go through every single scenario in the universe so that you can learn. That's why you need a master. That's why you need to have an open mind. That's why we need to look around and understand from other people as to how to be, how not to be. As once one very senior person told me, there is something that you can learn from everyone. From some how to be and from others how not to be. This is what I keep sharing with my juniors also whenever I get an opportunity. And even with Bhagawan, he puts us into situations and circumstances wherein we learn. But the bottom line is, he is in control and we are where we are because he wants us there. Let us be honest, people. Swami has been holding our hands all along. If you look back in your own lives, if each one of us looks back in our own lives, we will understand that we went through a particular grind. We went through a particular time of pleasure. We went through a particular time of pain, of loss, of happiness, of joy. Everything has been there only to enrich us. And looking back, we are able to look at His divine hand in everything. If we can look at it in the present also, at every moment, we will understand that we are where we are because God wants us there. All right. This is a time in our life. This is an opportunity given to all of us to focus on where we are going, how much sadhana we have done, whether that sadhana has taken us to a particular level, how much more we need to invest in sadhana, how much more time we need to spend on ourselves. Agreed, professional values, professional commitments, family commitments. How can we make the best use of our time so that whatever time we have, we can make best use of it? Remember, we are where we are because God wants us there. Time is the limiting factor. With how best can we make use of that time so that we can move closer, experience Him deeper, and live life king size? I just like to leave everyone with this set of thoughts. Thank you for this opportunity. Jai Sai Ram. Now, brothers, we can have a discussion at your convenience.
Thank you, Brother Arvind. Sairam, that was really, really, I would say, quite enriching. I thought it'll be nice because we are almost, this is the Aradhana day. Each one of us has memories of Swami, like you talked about personal God. I thought it'll be good if different people, whoever wants to come forward and share their thoughts about maybe share your best experience with Swami or one of your experiences with Swami that you hold dear, that is very dear to you, and try and keep it to around 3 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, and we can come back at a later time once everyone has had a chance. Sairam, so the floor is open now for anybody.
Sairam brothers.
Sai Ram.
Yeah, I'm Satya Sairam here. No, I've been very diligent in asking questions before, so I thought when there's been the silence, I should, myself and Pawan brother have opened up discussion last time, so I thought I'll go as the opening batsman this time as well. I've not prepared anything, Giri brother. I wasn't sure if all of us were sharing, but just to keep it brief, I did my primary school and secondary school, just as a background, I did my primary school and secondary school at Parthi, and as Arvind brother, I think probably as I left in 92, Arvind brother had just joined then. So I was there from first class, 1981, when the primary school opened. We did have as you would imagine, we would have had a lot of experiences which we weren't aware of as very young children. But there were two specific experiences. I've never been, or have never had that experience of going into the interview room, or or like what other brothers have had. But there were two which really stand out. And one of them was in my 8th class. So it was 1988. I don't know how many of you were here. I think I shared that picture on our a particular photograph, which itself is a story in itself on our group. So I don't know if it's still the case, but then we used to have a sack race. Sack race was one of the races that us used to participate in, and this was the heats. And Swami normally would not come to watch every heat.